Jacobe Smith is a prospect you're going to want to watch. Jacobe Smith's resume in collegiate wrestling might have been the best way to predict his current run of success, with Smith, a D1 All-American in 2018, having qualified for D1 Nationals. He'd debut as a professional in October 2021. He'd win 3 fights in an Oklahoma-based promotion before finding his way to Fury FC and getting a bump in competition slightly, and the size of event was much bigger. He is trained around like at aka Cormier is actually one of Smith's biggest advocates, is a fantastic wrestler at Oklahoma State University, is a tremendous thruster, he's a fantastic grappler. But what separates Jacobe from most of these wrestlers turned MMA fighters is he is a doll. But as of now, Smith has found his way to one of the best gyms in the United States in Fortis MMA, and he set a lot of his success. Another nasty first-round knockout as a main card performer at Fury FC 83. However, the fight would come against an older 12-11 opponent. The UFC, not impressed enough just yet, would have their jaws dropped by his next performance, lasting only 18 seconds. And this would be his last fight outside the UFC, as his 2024 opener was the first-round 18-second knockout, and to close out 2024 he'd be up against his far and away best opponent on Dana White's Contender Series. And when he walked into the Contender Series to take on Canadian Christian Savoy, it was bell to bell that Jacobe Smith was dominant in this one. There was without a shadow of a doubt. The competition was not what was making Jacobe Smith look so dominant. He'd land takedown after takedown in the first round, following it up with ground and pound. He's not one of the wrestlers that'll hold. He looks for the finish. Savoy would survive into the second round, but then again another takedown and more ground and pound, and the ref would finally have to step in to stop the fight. It looked like the stoppage came a little bit early, but after you see the shots that Jacobe Smith landed, the end was near, and he was just saving Savoy from getting more damage, and this would get an obvious contract to the UFC, where he would take on Preston Parsons in his debut, and he would get back to the ways of knocking opponents out in the first round. In a minute 13 seconds, he would land a left hook, finishing Preston Parsons and earning another notch in his undefeated record, this time in his debut for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. This guy has a huge ceiling. He has crazy wrestling, unless he really gasses himself in the first 2 rounds and gets finished by an extremely tough opponent in the UFC. He's going to be dominating guys until he's in the top 15.